need to have a unifying principle, right?
Totally.
And
Yeah.
it's not going to be religion. It should be country. We're all Americans. We're not
Yes.
white or black or whatever.
Yes.
We're all Americans.
Yeah. We pledge allegiance to all being Americans.
Yeah.
This guy wants to take that away.
He does. Well, this is the problem with a lot of the leftist ideas, is that there's a lot of deconstruction and destruction without realizing that something needs to fill the void.
Yeah, exactly.
Bizarre, creepy, even cult-like from the perspective of people living in other countries. Canada does something at least a little similar. Schools play the national anthem, not a Pledge of Allegiance, over the intercom, but nobody is expected to sing along, and "O Canada" is not a loyalty oath.
And that's why Canada
blows.
is our bitch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Canada, ripe for the taking whenever we want it. Like we're not even worried about it, because that's like a weekend chore. It's taking over Canada.
I mean, why would we want to?
I know, it'd be so much work. I mean, yeah, jeez.
Their major exports: maple syrup, mousses, and white people. I think we have enough of some of that stuff.
All that shit.
I know. Except maybe mousses. We could have some more mousses in America.
The Australian version of a Pledge of Allegiance was phased out years ago, and most other countries in Europe do not practice this in school.
Oh my God, look at that. Do you see that kid? Wait.
Which
look
one?
at the you see the kid in the blue sweater?
Yeah, in the middle.
Okay, look at the kid.
Baby, little Sitch.
Yeah, look at the kid right behind him in like the red jacket. You just see like a little bit of him.
He's like,
and "O Canada" is not a
that
loyalty
kid is like
oath.
popping off.
The Australian version of a Pledge of Allegiance was phased out years ago, and most other countries in Europe do not practice this in schools at all.
He loves
Apologists
the anthem.
for the Pledge of Allegiance for children say that this is a harmless bit of civic pride, but there are a few problems with that. For one, it's
But it's problematic.
Mandatory, and children will get in trouble for not.
Florida, of course, Florida schoolboy arrested after refusing to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I agree. That's crazy. No one should get it.
What are you talking about? Lock him up.
Should be arrested.
Throw his ass in jail. Yes.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
No, I'm only playing, but how long's the jail sentence? If it's longer than a year, that's a little excessive.
See, Florida boy arrested for not standing for pledge.
Yes.
See, a 6th grader. This happened recently. This happened last year. What the fuck?
Nathan Margolis actually looked it up, and he said something to the effect of, I believe that the student, they didn't make a big deal about it, but the student they asked him to write some paper about how why he was protesting the pledge, and then he didn't have to do it. But the kid was like, "Fuck that! I'm not writing no fucking paper. Like I'm not going to do the pledge. You think I want to write a fucking paper?"
Well, I agree that. Well, yeah, but then he wouldn't get arrested, though, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's weird. I have to look into that. Yeah. Okay, but whatever. I agree. You should do the Pledge of Allegiance, but I agree. Obviously, if you don't want to do it, you shouldn't be arrested. That's crazy.
PA student files civil rights suit over refusal to stand for pledge.
Yeah, that's a little silly.
Yeah. These are
saying
the
Pledge of Allegiance.
These are the centrists.
For another, children cannot possibly be aware of what they are normalizing in themselves at such a young age. And
that's why we do it when they're young.
So this guy doesn't want 12-year-olds to vote because he doesn't want them to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Don't you know how indoctrination works? Come on.
It's literally. I don't think that's. Is that a good excuse? Children don't understand what they're normalizing. I mean, does anyone really understand what they're normalizing? Like 99% of the time.
It's not bad. If the pledge involved things like normalizing cannibalism, okay, we're having a conversation. That might be something that we want to avoid. Come on.
Yeah, but Adam, America is the great white supremacist empire. Blah blah blah. You know.
Maybe America's great because of the pledge. Ever think of that?
Yeah.
Maybe we always thought it was our strong military, our love of football and baseball.
Mm-hmm. And
all this time, it was just this stupid little fucking limerick that we say in school.
I know, it's amazing.
Apologists say that this is not.
This is crazy. There's supposed to be a video about Forrest Gump, and the first 30
I
minutes
know.
of it are like, the Pledge of Allegiance is an insidious tool used to brainwash our children into liking their country. Isn't that terrible, guys?
Have you seen when they the immigrants apply to be citizens and they're finally become citizens, and they might sing the national anthem or do the pledge. I can't remember when. Last time I watched it, Billy Idol was becoming an American citizen, and there's like all these people with tears in their eyes. They're like, oh, it was a lifelong dream to become an American. This guy wants to take that away from those people. Terrible, terrible, terrible person.
Not actually a loyalty oath, but a pledge is a synonym for an oath, and allegiance is a synonym for loyalty.
It is a loyalty oath. What's wrong with that?
Nothing. Well, the problem is, okay, so this is where I guess where this is going, because if America was the left-wing utopia that he envisions, he would have no problem with this. It's only because, in Donald Trump's America, right?
Yeah.
Like, because he's confusing loyalty oath and Pledge of Allegiance as meaning like, oh, well, you should never question anything your country ever does because you said the Pledge of Allegiance when you were a child, which I don't think anyone thinks that way. I don't think anyone's been brainwashed by the fucking Pledge of Allegiance. So,
well, they are brainwashed, but in a good way, I would say. Because,
no, I don't think it affects anybody.
Well, we don't leave our people behind. That's like an American thing. Like when Americans get trapped in some third world country that starts imploding, like the first thing we try to do is get our people out. Like when American soldiers are left behind, the first thing we do is try to get our people out. Like
Yeah, but do you
that's the
think that's
loyalty oath.
uniquely American?
No, I don't. But I think the Pledge of
okay.
Allegiance is part of that. You're saying I'm pledging my allegiance to America, and these people are Americans just like me. They've said that pledge. They've taken the loyalty oath, and we have to get our people out.
I don't think it's brainwashing, because how can something be brainwashing if everyone has a different idea of what America is?
Interesting. But isn't the pledge about what America is?
Not really.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America,
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So
liberty
with the exception of
and justice.
Yeah,
oh
so,
my God.
Wait a minute.
Terrible.
So,
why would you want liberty and justice?
With the exception of under God, liberty and justice for all, there's no prescriptive normative claims in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Indivisible, bitch.
Is that really a prescriptive normative claim?
That means we are here forever.
But that's why I'm saying
take that, Tim Pool Civil War.
But that's why I'm saying the whole idea of this being brainwashing is stupid, because if there's how can it be brainwashing if the pledge itself doesn't tell you how you should necessarily view America beyond something so vague as liberty and justice for all?
Yeah.
Right? So this whole idea is so dumb. Ew, you're brainwashing your children to believe in some idea that's all completely on an individual level that every individual person creates in their head. It's terrible.
How can you be against liberty and justice for all?
I know.
That's what I'm trying to understand here. Like my mind is exploding. I thought the whole idea of these protests was about liberty and justice for all. Look, for heaven's sakes.
Adam, you thought we were renegades? Renegade is renegading against liberty and justice for all, okay?
That's crazy.
He's going full renegade.
So let's not split hairs here. To Americans, the Pledge of Allegiance is unquestioned due to how early everyone is taught to recite it and how normalized it becomes for each individual. If nobody
So wait, his 3 reasons why the pledge is bad is because it's a loyalty oath, which is why is that bad?
Yeah, totally.
It's not bad. Second is because he said that kids don't understand it.
Right.
Which, okay.
Indoctrination,
which is an argument, I guess.
Kids don't understand why they're supposed to eat their fucking peas.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, kids don't understand why they're supposed to not play in traffic. Kids don't understand why they're not supposed to touch hot things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And what was the first one? It was stupid too, but it wasn't even an argument.
Oh, okay.
I've already forgotten it. Whatever.
Actively questions it, then it may never occur to an individual to think of it as anything but benign. If someone calls it what it is, indoctrination, Americans get defensive because it is so common to them, so normal, that criticizing this totally normal thing feels abnormal. The state and
see, it's funny that like I'm sure he typed in like stock footage of people doing the pledge, and it's like all these different kids of all different ethnic backgrounds.
I know. It's so cool.
It's like that's what America is. They're supposed to be. It's like we're all coming together, shedding our past selves. For who cares about our ethnicity? We're all coming together under the banner of America. And it's like, no, it's bad.
There's
terrible.
There's those psychology studies where they get people to work together in teams just
Hmm.
by wearing like the same t-shirts or wearing the same hats
Right.
or having the
Right.
same eye color. Like we form teams so easily, and that's kind of the major innovation of America. They were like, "Hey, we don't have to form teams by ethnicity. Look at this. We can
Oh,
we can form teams by institutions and basically take all the smart people from everywhere in the world."
right. Right. Well, I mean that's a more of a recent creation. Obviously, that wasn't the original creation of
Right.
America, but
You always what is the thing that you always want to go back to?
what do you mean?
There was some racist law where they were talking about they only wanted certain Europeans.
Oh! I was talking about slavery, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, if you're talking about the one the old writers always bring up, the
Yes, yeah.
Immigration Act, where they were like, oh well, we only want certain types of white people to come into our country.
Yeah, how does slavery work against that ethic, I guess?
Because you're literally sorting
Stealing
people out by
people.
their ethnic group.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah,
Damn, we fucked up.
yep, you fucked up.
Enshrines in itself and for its people a series of values, all of which are designed to create a productive population for the benefit of the state and to protect the state from unrest by its own people.
Okay, I want
Well,
you
hold-
to listen to this
yeah.
part again because it's fucking dumb and insane. Okay.
Well, it's not just protecting the state from unrest; it's protecting motherfucking us from unrest. Like
know,
I don't like
I know.
unrest either.
I know. This is crazy. This is like pure leftist insanity.
As a
Horrible
guy who
thing.
literally had a rioter drive in front of his
Right.
house this week, I'm telling you, unrest sucks.
I want to be clear. When I say leftist, I don't mean like liberal or Democrat. I'm talking about like people who want to tear down society, anti-capitalist, socialist, anarchist. And this guy makes the same distinction in this video of the difference between leftist and liberal.
Feels abnormal. The state enshrines in itself and for its people a series of values, all of which are designed to create a productive population for the benefit of the state and to protect the state from unrest by its own people.
Okay. What are there's a lot of value in wanting to indoctrinate your society to be productive, right? Like why he's saying this like it's a bad thing. Like, oh, they just want to make everyone productive and be useful, like progress society in a forward motion. This is so awful. Oh,
He's totally wrong too, because the whole idea behind the First Amendment, like the first draft of the Constitution, was about protecting the state from the population, and the population rebelled against that, and you got the Bill of Rights. And the First
Right,
Amendment is the right to protest against your government, like the right to
that's a
raise
great
hell.
point. Yeah.
Like the Second Amendment is the right to use guns when you're raising hell against your government.
Yep.
Like, what the fuck?
Yep. I know. It's a great point.
These ingrained values, normalized behaviors, mainstreamed politics, and propagandized right way to be create a status quo or current state of affairs. The dull obedience to the United States demanded by
Adam,
I
there's
know.
no right way to be ever. Okay, everyone just go balls to the wall crazy. Just do whatever you want. Do
Well, I
whatever
like
you
the
want.
way just he reflexively thinks the status quo is bad. Don't we have to
Right.
examine the status quo? Like maybe the status quo is
No.
good. Maybe we should keep it.
It's bad. If it's status quo is bad, you have to compare it to something, right? Like,
Mhm.
what is the good he's comparing it to?
Oh yeah.
the pledge is similar to the dull obedience of never questioning having to recite the pledge in the first place. The circular logic of it confuses the people into never questioning it. The pledge says the United States is good. The pledge says obedience is good. Therefore, obedience to the United States is good. And I know the United States is good because the pledge
This motherfucker made of rubber? Because that's a fucking stretch.
Yeah.
says so. I know the pledge is good because it's
I feel like we have the most freedom,
Mhm.
and I don't understand how you can conceptualize all the freedom that we have as obedience. Like what the hell?
Because you're pledging loyalty to freedom, Adam. If you
Yeah, and
Adam,
liberty and justice. I remember. Like I can't think of anything more I'd like to pledge allegiance to.
Well, no, this is like the big brain take of like, well, if you follow any rules, then you're like, you can't. He's saying You can't be free as long as you follow any rules, because you're still following rules that hinder your freedom. That's the argument that's happening right here.
Yeah. Yeah. Anarchy is a lot less freedom than
Yeah,
liberty and justice for all.
anarchy, look, Adam, anarchy is the most freedom. Okay, like when you have to fight off like roving bands of bandits, like that's freedom. That's real
No.
freedom.
No, I
Okay.
didn't get anything done this week. That's how not free I was.
It's a pledge to the United States, which I know is good. And yeah, I'm talking about Forrest Gump here.
Do you think he had made that and didn't quite know how to use it? And he's like, "Oh, I'll use it in my Forrest Gump video."
No, I think it makes sense because he basically views Forrest Gump as like the American ideals indoctrination in the movie, just like the Pledge of Allegiance. No one questions Forrest Gump, just like no one questions the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, interesting if you're like a moron, but yeah.